Family, good morning. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. It's 4 a.m. Central Time. I hope that you are off to an amazing start. Let me know if you are interested in more of these AM kind of uploads, podcasts, whatever you want to call it. They're not going to have as many graphics as my 10 a.m. live show, but I think it gives us another opportunity to talk about some college football, some Alabama football, something that we will experiment with. So let me know inside the comment box if you are interested in more of this type of content. As always, I'm coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Right now I'm watching, I have Washington and Kansas City playing, and I have Toronto and the Dodgers playing. All right, so that's what I'm doing, but I'm also always around college football in this space. Earlier this week, I posted a question for everyone inside the community tab. And I said, ask a question. Could be about college football. Could be about Alabama football. And the first question comes in from John Carpenter. And that's kind of how this video will operate today. So as you're getting ready for your day, this is what we got. And then, of course, I'll be live at 10 a.m. John Carpenter says, I'm much more nervous about this LSU game now that Brian Kelly is out. He goes on to say that not because he was a mediocre coach, but you're not going to know the identity of this particular team coming into Bryant-Denny Stadium. Yeah, I think it is a good point. You look at a team like Arkansas or a team like Penn State, teams that have recently fired their coach, and they've actually played a little bit better. Going into this game, Alabama has an open week. It comes at a perfect time where you can kind of rest, reset, get your focus right for the rest of the schedule. And with LSU particularly, they got a good quarterback. They got good weapons on offense and defense. This is a team that is a rival of Alabama, and I think their tight end coach is going to be calling the offense. You have a lot going on with LSU, clearly, and I still don't know who their next head football coach is going to be. I was looking online, and I think I saw that BetGM. Let me see if I could pull this up real quick. I think it was, who did I see was favored to be the actual head coach over there. I don't know who it was going to be. But either way, I think some people are starting to talk about even Marcus Freeman. I don't know how realistic that would be. With LSU right now, they're going through a coaching change. They can respond positively. They can respond negatively. It's up to LSU. For Alabama, it's just a one-game season, and they have to continue to win out. As I have showed you many different times, Texas A&M is playing a one-game season, as is Ole Miss, as is Georgia, as is Vanderbilt. All those teams have opportunities to finish out, A&M 12-0, and then the rest kind of 11-1. So you still haven't punched your way into the SEC title game. And I was starting to think about it. It's like, do you even want to play in the SEC title game? Think about it. Ole Miss could finish out 11-1 and still land up with the top 4 seed and not have to play in the SEC title game. That's one less game of wear and tear up against quality competition. So, John, I appreciate the question. I know you're nervous about LSU. I don't think you can overlook anybody in this day and age, regardless of who you're playing. The good news is Alabama's been red hot. They're playing red hot at Bryant-Denny Stadium, 16 in a row. And I think they'll come back with a lot of mental focus over these next couple of days. They're off up until, I think, Wednesday, and then they'll have some off time in the weekend as well. Let's see what else we got inside the comment box. John265 says this: why is the defense not getting the credit it deserves over the last 5 games? What's up, John? I appreciate the question. The defense, Kane Womack, we are so quick to call him out when there is a chunk yardage play or somebody gets cooked or something like that. I've explained, people are going to get there just because it's the SEC. I mean, if you watch the NFL, teams get big plays. What I see from Alabama's defense and the identity is bend but don't break, but there's playmakers. And what are they, +9 in turnovers? They've come up with some really big plays throughout the last 5-6 games of this season, and it seems like every single time you need a big play, Alabama's defense is right there to come up with that big play. You can point to the last couple games. I'll rattle them out. Deontay Lawson, the strip, right? Even in this last game, the play of Yonze Pierre having 6 total pressures. Outside of him, Justin Jefferson played huge. The defense really held it down in this last game. Against Tennessee, you can go to the pick 6. Against Missouri, you can go to some defensive plays. Vanderbilt, the interception. So, yeah, the defense certainly needs much more love. And I think one of the stats that I feel is still overrated, and I see if I can pull this up, is that game against Missouri when they held, I think I could bring it up real fast on this side. Remember Ahmad Hardy came in as the number 1 running back in the country? Let's see if we could pull up his game log. This guy was having an incredible season and still is, right? But I think in the first 5 games of the season, whatever, he had ran for like 730 yards. Against Alabama, they put a quick stop to that. And he only ran for 52. Now, as you can see, I don't think you can see that. Probably too small. But in the next game, he only ran for 58 and 97. So Alabama really kind of shut down the nation's number 1 running back. I still kind of look back to that stat, and I was like, wow, that was an incredible performance by the defense against one of the nation's running backs. So those type of stats stand out. In the secondary, look, I think, you let Harbor catch a big one against South Carolina, and you went against a very outstanding quarterback in Lenore Sellers. So the defense definitely isn't getting the credit, and we are so quick to call out Kane Womack. But I will say this, these guys have showed that they can come up with plays when they are needed, and that is a great sign of a defense. And let me ask you this. Has the defense improved week by week? Is the defense better than they were a couple weeks ago? I'd have to say yes. And I'll also say this, too, and I know you didn't ask it, but I think Yonze Pierre has to remain the starter even when Quay Rousseau comes back. Number 42 just playing absolutely fantastic. Brandon asked this inside the comment box. He says this: I like to question every aspect of our run game. If we don't get it sorted out during the bye week, we may lose a game or two. The run game is a very heavy topic. I finally felt that it's not the running backs, it's kind of the scheming, and it is the offensive line. When you kind of look to stats of Pro Football Focus, I'll see if I can bring some up on this other side while I'm discussing this. But I feel that there's nothing wrong with the Alabama running backs. And if we were having like dialogue, you could probably argue with me about that, because I've seen it out there. People are like, well, I'm done with Jam Miller. He's not the guy, this and that. I feel that Ryan Grubb, as much as I love the guy, he's called some strange running plays on downs where you're like, okay, that doesn't necessarily make sense. You might go with Ty there. And sometimes he kind of falls off rhythm. It's not often, but I think that has kind of filtered in. It's hard to explain, but I do feel that sometimes the scheming, as great as Ryan Grubb is, I do think that has something to do with it. Also, I do feel kind of the run blocking. Now, as I'm looking this up right here, and if you could see it on the screen, I do have it listed. Let me list it by snap counts. So let's see. That will be games. Okay, I'll put it by games. As you can see, the run blocking, that's not going to give us a really good look at it. There we go. Run blocking, you have Caden Proctor over here with a 79.2 grade against the run, right? Like run blocking grade. But everybody else, look at these grades. They're terrible. Parker Brailsford, 55.8. And I get it. This is Pro Football Focus. A lot of people have different opinions about it. But, from a reference standpoint, Parker Brailsford, 55.8. Let's look at some other offensive linemen. Cam Dewberry, 58.6. Welcome Formby, 57.6. Gino Vandermark, 56.5. Josh Quay was tight end, 55.1. Michael Carroll down here looks like he has a better grade, but he only has 76 snaps. Jaden Roberts only has 65 snaps on the year, has a grade of 60.5. So I do feel that the offensive line is not doing their job either. So, look, the run game, there's a lot of questions on here about the run game. I personally don't think it has anything to do with the running backs. I think it's more about kind of the scheming and the offensive linemen, if that makes sense, right? Let's see if I can bring this up as well. Here's the grades for the running backs. And, again, I'll go with the snaps over here. The running grade over here, for example, for Caden Proctor, this is hilarious, is 79.2. I guess that's why he's getting so many carries, right? Let's see, Germie Bernard, 57.2. Jam Miller over here, 78.4. And then the next, Daniel Hill, 56.0. So numbers to look at, analytics. I know you probably can't even see them on the screen, but the running game isn't impressive by any stretch of the imagination. But what's amazing is they've still been able to retain time of possession outside of South Carolina and outside of Florida State with high efficiency passing, right? So thanks for the question, Brandon. Possum347 says, I'm so happy we made it this far, but we need to get better play from the offensive line. I think they're pretty good up front and end up missing blocks. We need them to be road graders and let Jam and Daniel Hill kind of do their thing, okay? I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Dana King 934 says, is the offensive line the issue from like coaching, talent, both? Serious question. Look forward to the answer. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. You know, I've never really had an issue with Kapilovic, and I was very kind of excited about this offensive line. I think I gassed them up a lot, right? I was talking about Caden Proctor and Parker Brailsford, and I don't have a lot of negative things to say about Parker Brailsford. I really don't. I do feel that, you know, with Wilcom Formby, and this is like nothing against the guys like personally. They're great guys. By the way, did you see all these guys out there at the prayers, what was it called? Prayer of One or something like that, the team had? It was so cool. All these guys came together for fellowship on Sunday night and kind of broke bread together at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Really cool. If you haven't seen it, let me see what it was called. It was such a great scene. Let's see. I have all these pictures to go through on my phone because I'm like screenshotting stuff. I think I have it here. It was called Audience of One at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Y'all see this? It was cool. Really cool. Germie Bernard was up there. Ty Simpson, Tim Keenan, a lot of the Alabama football players. Wilcom Formby. So, like I said, I have nothing against the players. But in terms of like talking about how they're playing and stuff, I think we have every right to talk about that. I do feel like you have issues with Wilcom Formby, with Jaden Roberts, even Geno Vandermark, maybe some with Cam Dewberry, in terms of these guys not being elite type offensive linemen. It would be interesting to see, like, there's an analyst out there, and I know he's around from time to time. Remember Mike Johnson? Sometimes he gets on YouTube. I'd be curious to see what like a former All-American offensive lineman has to say about this. But I do feel that these guys just aren't as good as we thought they are going to be, and I think that's kind of contributing to the lack of run game as well. Jay Edits is asking if the Gators will win the Natty this year. I don't think so. Who do you think gets the Florida coaching job? I guess the Athletic said today that Marcus Freeman has turned him down. I haven't heard anyone else outside of Lane Kiffin, right? I don't even think Coach Saban's been mentioned for Florida. Is Florida a better job than LSU, or is LSU a better job than Florida? What do you guys think? I would say LSU, right? But, man, like you have to win more than 70% of your games in college football to retain your job. It's not like Brian Kelly had the worst schedule. I know things kind of fell off for them this year. But, I mean, he won 3 consecutive bowl games. He was like 10-4, 9-3. They weren't like terrible records. You still get fired. Wow. All right, let's see what Derek has to say. We got to keep rotating our running backs. We can't just keep going to 2 and expect these 2 to be enough. We need to mix it up and use them as you got them. Right now, you've had Jam and you've had Daniel Hill, and they've kind of put Kevin Riley to the back burner a little bit, right? Because there was a time where it was Kevin Riley was like the running back. And then when Jam got healthy, it was Jam and then Kevin Riley, and then here comes Daniel Hill, and now you don't really see a lot of Kevin Riley. Richard Young just doesn't play at all anymore. And then A.K. Deere, I guess he's still in development, right? So that's kind of how Alabama has been utilizing their running back. I still will say in this last game, I don't know if you've had your chance to like do a rewatch, but those running backs, Daniel Hill and Jam Miller, they had some nice runs there in the fourth quarter when it mattered. JMRMFT, I love it, man. I love the Smitty icon as well. Says this: if you're Coach Kalen DeBoer, what are you focusing on most during this bye week? The running game, pass rush, rest and recovery, pass protection. All good options, right? We've been talking about the running game for sure. The pass rush, I think, has been improving, right? I feel that Yonze Pierre, he's kind of added a good element. We saw Justin Jefferson with the sack. James Smith has been playing well. These guys, I do feel, have been getting at least some heat on the quarterback. I mean, Lenore Sellers was just a monster, but I think before that, he had a pretty good game against Tennessee in terms of pass rush, right? See if Travis Kelce can get into the end zone right here. Man, he like fell down. I think if he scores another touchdown, he's got like the Chiefs record or something like that. So I think we're good. We're making strides at pass rush. Rest and recovery, always important. And I think that's even important for us as people, right? I think sometimes when we're kind of in the grind of things, you need to make sure and make time to rest and recover. Like if you're out there, if you're an athlete, if you lift weights, if you work out, or if you're, go heavy during the season in your job or something like that, you definitely need to kind of take time, pill away so you can come back more energized and continue to kind of finish the job until it's done, right? So super important. I think Coach Kalen DeBoer has done a good job with 2 bye weeks managing that. Pass protection, always a big thing. And I feel after listening to Shane Beamer talk about Alabama and South Carolina, he felt that going into this game that their pass rush could get to tie. I do feel that there's other teams down the stretch that are going to feel that same way. One is Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma and I think Auburn as well will have a good pass rush. Oklahoma specifically, these guys are going to bring the heat, and the offensive line has to be able to take care of Ty, and Ty also has to get the football out quickly, which he's been doing. But I do feel that pass protection is going to play a critical role, probably more of a critical role than the run game. The run game is weird because you have like Germie Bernard. Right, you can escape in like different elements like that. Pass protection, if you can't protect Ty, and Ty is under duress, you're going to struggle. And then Alabama's offense is going to struggle, and I don't know, maybe that might be their kryptonite. Ben asked inside the comment box, are you worried about LSU game more now since Kelly's gone? I think I answered that earlier in the program. But, yeah, I mean, any team that loses their coach, they kind of get rejuvenation. And then anybody that plays Alabama, plain and simple, look, it's a Super Bowl game, right? Hey, let's go out. Like, we might have lost our coach. We might not be making it to the playoffs, but here's an opportunity for us to still beat Alabama, right? Because you're always remembered, like, what did you do against Alabama, right? Let's face it. King's like, will we ever get the running game established? What's interesting, this is always going to be a thing, and it's cool. Like, I asked for the questions. But as you zoom out on this little screen and you look at Alabama, I go full screen. Maybe you guys can see it. Like I said, these type of shows won't have like full graphics like my live shows, but I can still kind of illustrate right here that this season Alabama, and this is very surprising, but this season Alabama has had only one game, which is right here against Vanderbilt, where they had a running back that ran for over 100 yards, right, who was Jam Miller, 136. And it seemed like the running game was kind of getting going right here, 136, and it looked like he was going to run for 100 against Missouri, and then he got popped and went out with a concussion, and now we're kind of like trending the opposite direction. So, is it ever going to get going? Well, it kind of did, and then we kind of went the opposite way. So I appreciate it, King Man, for dropping by and rolling with us. A lot of questions about the offensive line and the run game, right? Retired 67 says this: where was the offensive line stopping the defense from Simpson? Same with the defense missing tackles. Did Alabama go with an ideal that the Gamecocks would be a pushover? You know what? Hard to believe that South Carolina is 3-5, right? Like, that's a good football team. It's kind of like thinking about, I'm going to continue to use this reference, like the NFL. The 49ers just played Houston. Houston was 2-5. And Houston controlled that entire game. Sometimes, like, it's any given Saturday, there's a couple things that might not go your way. You might be missing a key player. South Carolina, that's a good football team. And I think they play Ole Miss this coming week. I'm curious to see what the score is on that one. I would imagine it might be kind of a hangover game for South Carolina. So I'd imagine Lane Kiffin kind of does what he wants. But that's a good team. And I don't think that Alabama did overlook these guys. I really don't. I feel like these guys have been dialed in, and I think they're mature enough to understand that it is any given Saturday. But I do feel that South Carolina is probably better than everybody thinks, right? That 3-5 team in the SEC, South Carolina, that team 100% beats BYU and wins the Big 12. Do you agree with me? Does South Carolina win the Big 12? All right, John is asking, let's examine the defense. Why is Damani on the bench? I think when you look to Damani being on the bench, it's just you have Dejon Lee, who is starting to rise up. I know Pro Football Focus had some good grades regarding Dejon Lee. Let's see if I can find him on the fly real quick. Yo, Damani is a player that's kind of been, unfortunately, trending the opposite way. And you have a player like Dejon Lee who's been trending the right way. So let's kind of look at Damani, and then we'll pull up Dejon Lee's Pro Football Focus, okay? So here on the screen, I'll go full screen so you guys can see this. I don't know if maybe you guys are like brushing your teeth or something like that, so I don't know if you have time to look at the screen. But if you can hear me, I'll read these out. So Damani's overall grade, and we'll look at the far right, which is coverage, right? He has coverage grades of 60, 66, 68, 54, 61, 52, 64, and 66, okay? So, and then when we kind of go to the nitty gritty, like the real stats, in coverage, let's see if we can find these. He has one pass breakup. Wow, that's crazy. He has one pass breakup on the season. No interceptions, okay? And he has 4 penalties. Let's see if we can find how many times he's been targeted. Sometimes you could find that in defense, snap, swap, position. Okay, now let's go look at, we'll go back and we will sort it and we will look for Dejon Lee. We'll just do a quick comparison between the two. So Dejon Lee is 5. We'll pull him up and we'll look at the coverage grades. So that first game, remember he got cooked, right, against Florida State. 44, that was his grade. But look at the overall, 71, 67, 74, 72, 71, 76. So his coverage grade right now is much better than Damani Jackson, 79. And then we kind of go to that nitty-gritty area again. He's been targeted 17 times and allowed 8 receptions. So remember that number, 17 for 8. And then let's see. He has 2 pass breakups and 1 interception. He should have 2, right? So let's go see what Damani did from – I'm curious. You got me thinking now. Damani Jackson. Okay. So Damani Jackson, I think it was 17-8, right? Oh, yeah, look, that's why. Here it is. Damani Jackson has been targeted 14 times, and he's allowed 10 receptions. Okay? So as you can see, it's been more challenging to throw on Dejon Lee as opposed to Dejon Lee. Yeah, so Damani Jackson, plain and simple, has allowed more receptions. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think that's why he's on the bench. It's just because Dejon Lee has proved to be a better corner at this time of year. And I think, can we all agree on that? I think he has. Another question on the run game. Let's see. Aside from the run game struggles, what would you say is the biggest thing that this team needs to improve on? Interesting. Okay. Clearly, like kicking 40-plus yard field goals, but can you really improve on that? You kind of either have it or you don't. Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so let me read this again. And I need help from you inside the comment box. Be thinking about this. Aside from the run game struggles, what would you say the biggest thing this team needs to improve on? Why is this like not coming to me? Usually I'm pretty quick to have like an answer. I don't know. I might have to ask the audience on this one. Interesting. Nice question. All right. We got 222 inside the comment box. Why are we not trying to push Germie Bernard for the Heisman? Ty has been good, but when you look at it from the offensive standpoint, he's been the glue. Let's look at Germie Bernard. I like where we're going with this. Okay, so here's Ty Simpson, but let's get Germie Bernard on the screen. Germie Bernard, ESPN. And it's been Germie Bernard, man, what a season. What a guy, right? What a guy. Okay, we'll go full screen again. Germie Bernard, on the season, 38 receptions for 526 yards, and he has 15 carries for 94. He has 2 rushing touchdowns and 8. So as much as he's done, it's not like a huge volume of statistics. Unfortunately, when you're looking at the Heisman, it's super stat driven, right? I think it's been a long time since a wide receiver or multiple wide receivers have been kind of up there for the reward, up there for the award. He's certainly one of the best pound for pound players in college football. And I think there's a couple players on this team that are irreplaceable for this team, right? Jeremy's one of them. Ty is one of them. Caden Proctor's one of them. Maybe somebody else. Like all the other guys, you have another guy that can rotate out with them, and you're still just as good. You're not as good if you take Germie Bernard out. 100. Can we all agree on that? Like if you take Germie Bernard off this team, I don't know if the coaches have enough confidence in some of those other wide receivers to do the things that he's doing. And let me pose this to you. Who is the wide receiver even next year that can do what Germie Bernard is doing in this offense? Seriously, is it Ryan Williams? Let's face it, Ryan Williams, he is going to grow up, right? They could add more weight to him. I mean, he's faster than Germ, but Germ just has it. Like, Germ has a playmaking ability, but so does Ryan. So that's a great question. I don't think anybody's thought about that. Who will be the Germie Bernard on this team next year? Maybe Sedarian Morgan. Imagine him. I think he's an outsider receiver. He's an outsider receiver that is going to play 1,000,000%. I don't think it'll be Lazier Brooks. Could it be Ryan Williams? Now I'm thinking about it. I don't know. Maybe a Rico Scott. Rico Scott could be that guy. That's an interesting one. I just came up with that on my own. All right. Reports just dropped. Okay, this is yesterday about Brian Kelly. Let's see. Gary says this. Okay, Kyle. What is up with all these close games? When is Alabama going to start to roll SEC opponent? They have so many weapons on offense, but go for long periods of games where they do nothing. Going scoreless against Georgia the whole second half. Okay. Yeah, Gary, good question. Okay, I've thought about this. So I feel that it doesn't matter how many points you win by in this day in college football. And I feel that fans need to understand that this, and I'm sure you already have, this is not the same college football as like 2010, 2014, 2020, where you could really separate yourself from opponents, and that was kind of it, right? In today's game of college football, the teams are too good, they're too dynamic, and they can come back at any point of the game. So Coach Kalen DeBoer this is a genius strategy, along with Ryan Grubb, is they're winning with time of possession. They don't care how many points they win by. They're going to control the tempo, and winning a game 29-22 or 27-24 or 30-14 or 24-21, it doesn't matter because you're just winning games and you're controlling the tempo of those games. I do feel, and we haven't seen it yet, but I do feel this team could win a shootout if they do get into one, right? We got to see a little bit more of Ty's deep ball passing accuracy come through, but they haven't, think about this, they really haven't been challenged yet into like a street fight, right? It's kind of been more of kind of a long boxing match to where it's been, it's going the distance, right? 12 rounds, whatever. It's going long. Nothing has been like back and forth kind of shootout. I think they can win a shootout, but I don't know. And maybe that could be the team that beats Alabama. All right, let's see what Bama 6203 says. With the news of Brian Kelly's firing, what are your thoughts on Alabama's team coming off a bye week? What do you think the Bama focus should be? Okay, we kind of touched on that. We said kind of some rest and recovery along with some pass protection, right? My only question is, why can't we run the ball? Yeah, same. That's like the main question for everybody, right? B-Film says, great game on Saturday. If you're Coach Kalen DeBoer, what are you focusing on the next 4 opponents? Okay, I like this one. I feel that you just focus, you kind of refocus your team on the next set of games, not what you've done. Because what you've done is impressive enough, but Alabama, it will be judged heavily in these next 4 games, right? And any of these teams playing Alabama close or whatever, it's the college football playoffs and the rankings are about to drop. It's not this coming Tuesday, it's next Tuesday. And so now is the time to really kind of put it all together. I think we all know what the strengths and the weaknesses are of the team, but you kind of focus this team on, look, all right, great job getting to this point. We're kind of at a new base camp. But if we really want to climb to the top of the mountain, what is it going to take? Can we retain the right psychological disposition to get there? Inch by inch, step by step. Can we block out the rat poison, right? Maybe we suffer an injury or something like that. How are we going to respond to that? Maybe we go through some adversity again. How are we going to respond through that? And we respond to that based on the experiences that we've already went through. We got punched in the mouth. We got punched in the mouth by Florida State. We got punched in the mouth by South Carolina, right? And we responded. This team doesn't win a game like they won against South Carolina as last Saturday last year. They didn't. This year, they are able to retain focus, kind of level out the ship, and win that type of a game. So that's what you do. You kind of, okay, we're here, but what is it going to take to get here? And you kind of go game by game, right? All right. Richard says, what am I going to do this Saturday? Okay, good question. Let's look at the college football schedule, right? I haven't, to be honest, this will be my first time even looking at the college football slate as well. I even really, Bama don't play, and, sometimes I don't even check the schedule. So let's see what we got. We got Memphis, who is coming off a big victory over South Florida. That was impressive. Congratulations to them. They'll be taking on Rice. You have Penn State taking on Ohio State. Okay, Ohio State is favored by 20.5. Oh, my goodness. Wow, 20.5 at the Big House. Okay. You have Vanderbilt. They are taking on Texas. Oh, man, what a game. Texas is actually favored by 1.5. I don't know if Arch Manning is playing in this game. What do you think? Who wins this game, Vanderbilt or Texas? Sound off inside the comment box. If Vanderbilt can win this game, Diego Pavia, that stock is going to continue to rise up. Okay, let's see who else we got. Miami is taking on SMU. Miami's favored by 12.5. You have West Virginia taking on Houston. You have Louisville, who is 6-1, taking on Virginia Tech. You have Indiana taking on Maryland, where Indiana is a 21.5 point favorite. You have Georgia taking on Florida in the world's biggest cocktail, right? In Jacksonville, Georgia's favored by 7.5. Notre Dame taking on Boston College. Notre Dame favored by almost 30. Texas Tech taking on Kansas State. And you have Virginia taking on Cal. You have South Carolina taking on Ole Miss, where Ole Miss is actually favored by 2 scores, right? 13.5. You have Purdue taking on Michigan. You have undefeated Georgia Tech taking on NC State. In the evening hour, you have Oklahoma taking on Tennessee. Ooh, that's a good game. I'll take Tennessee, though. Tennessee by 2.5. Yeah, I'll take it. And then you have USC taking on Nebraska. You have Cincinnati taking on Utah. Pretty good slate of games, to be honest. I guess, isn't game day? Aren't they going? Where's game day? Aren't they going to? Are they going to watch BYU or something? I don't know where game day is going. But I think probably the game of the week, or at least the one I'm watching, is Vanderbilt, Texas, and then clearly Ole Miss and South Carolina. I've discussed already kind of the SEC standing. It is crazy to see all those teams kind of up at the top of the list and to kind of think of the outcomes that could be if these teams are all to win. Texas A&M 12-0, Bama 11-1, Ole Miss 11-1, Georgia 11-1, and Vanderbilt 11-1. None of those teams play each other. And here are the teams at the bottom of the barrel: Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi State, South Carolina. So, look, Mississippi State just went into overtime with Texas, and South Carolina just almost beat Alabama. So, any given Saturday in the SEC. Let's see what else we got. We got a couple more questions. I gave Kalen DeBoer 3 year and 2. He made a lot of strides. I'm so happy he's catching his groove. But my question is, how long as a Bama fan should we hold off that there is no national championship in at least 5 years? Man, shoot. Winning the national championship now in college football is going to be such a challenge. Think about putting together 16 games, 17 games, and being able to win the championship. It's like the NFL. But coaches, as you know, you win 70% of your games, not good enough. You got to win 95% of your games, or else you're getting clipped. Just look how we reacted after they lost one game. Chad says, what happened to Riley? Jam doesn't have quick acceleration. I do feel that Jam's acceleration isn't as fast as Kevin Riley, but Jam is kind of all-purpose. Daniel Hill brings another element. But Kevin Riley, I do agree with you, man. I would like to see more of Kevin Riley. Let's see. Willie says can't win a national title without a running game. And I think there was one more on here. JJRM again says, hey, is Ryan Williams an elite player that's just struggling, or he is an above average player that makes highlight play every now and then? No, he's an elite player. He's I feel out of all the players in college football, he probably got gassed up the most, right? This guy, who knows how much he's making? He has playmaking ability that is out of this world. He is an elite college football player. He just got to figure out how to, manage, some of these things that he might go through from time to time. Travis Kelce just caught a touchdown, by the way. I knew they'd throw a touchdown to him. Even Patty Mahomes in the beginning said that they'd throw a touchdown. But yeah, I do think he's an elite player. Maybe, he's got to get to another level of concentration. And a good person he should keep hanging out with is Devontae Smith in the offseason, because no one does it like Smitty, right? All right, so BTB, he says this, and he'll end here. We'll end here. Kyle, do you think that Bama fans are the biggest crybabies we've ever seen? Alabama fans' expectations are elite. They should be high. Coach Saban, what he did here was perfection. But fans have a high standard of winning here. Just like when you watch your programs, just like, all the other people that cover Alabama football, people understand. Like, there's a level of greatness and people want to, be great. And I think it's fair for them to express themselves, maybe cry a little bit, maybe get frustrated a little bit about the running game or, defensive chunk yard plays. But I will say this. As much as that last season hurt and as much as that first loss hurt, I think we can all agree that Coach Kalen DeBoer has turned out to be a fantastic football coach. I think he has continued to exude a level of steadfastness that is much greater than any fan could, right? Because fans go up and down. He's level. And he's shown that the players really like to play for him. He's been able to develop a great coaching staff. When he got Ryan Grubb here, they took it to a whole nother level. He's been doing a great job recruiting. He's brought in Courtney Morgan, who has done an amazing job recruiting. The recruiting class, I know we're not talking recruiting right now. This recruiting class is fantastic. Last year's recruiting class was fantastic. So there's a lot of different elements about Coach Kalen DeBoer that he's doing the right thing. And there's a lot of places that are on fire. Remember the whole Alabama's burning? It wasn't Alabama. Alabama was never burning. I think, it was kind of a transition. And it's not perfect. It's going to take some time to get to where we want to go. And I still feel that the ceiling is very high for this football team even. I think there's some things that we have to fix, as we've just spoken about on the show. A lot has to do with the running game. And to be honest, just because this is my opinion, I'd like to hear other opinions from other college football analysts and why they think that Alabama can't run the football, or even from you inside the comment box, because it is something that does stand out to me every single game. He's be like 2nd and 1, and they'll do something that doesn't even get 1 yard, or this or that, considering the run game. So, anyways, big ceiling still. And we'll see how it goes. But right now, you got to feel pretty good going into the open week 7-1 and 5-0 in SEC play, right? So I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope you got off to a great start. Remember, I will be live at 10 a.m. Central Time. And just a reminder that I will be on kind of a mini vacation with my family from Thursday to Sunday. So I'll make some time for my kids and kind of peel away as a father. As you know, I have them full-time, and they're so important to me. So dad first, but you guys are certainly important to me. So I'm still going to have some content probably in the morning times while I'm away, and, of course, news as it happens. But I'm excited for a little getaway time with the kids as well. So have a beautiful start, and I will catch you soon here at 10 a.m. right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Have a great morning. I'm about to go to bed, and we'll catch you soon right here on Bama Football on YouTube. See ya.